Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, FPL Consult here, and in today's video we have my GW24 transfer plans. So as you guys can see on the screen, the assistant manager chip for me is pretty much going to be used. Now, as of recording, I have not activated the chip yet, but that is because firstly, managers don't change in price, so there's no real rush for me to activate the chip. But either ways, I'm pretty much 95% certain I will do it, and that's the only reason why I've put slot here on the graphic. My plan, as I've kind of laid out in the chip strategy video that I uploaded a couple of days ago, is still to assistant manager in 24. I'll talk through that, of course, and I'll also talk through my 15 players that I have here and the plans that I have for them moving ahead, particularly into game week 29, right? Because game week 29 will be a blank. I have to think about how I use my transfers moving forward because it's only 5 game weeks away, how to navigate that blank as well. And for the time being, it is to use free transfers and dead end my team into 29 and then wildcard out of it in 30. So I'll show you guys my plan all the way till 29. Hopefully you guys find this video useful and enjoy it. If you do, please do drop a like. Please do subscribe as well. And I am recording this just before the kickoffs, or at least the first few games of game week 23 are being played. So of course, if there's injuries, etc., then maybe the plans would change. But barring any injuries, I just wanted to give you guys a big picture view of how game week 24 is going to look like for me. So for game week 24, the first and most obvious thing we need to talk about is Arne's slot up there in the top right hand side of the screen. Now, I've spoken in depth about why I want to use the assistant manager in game week 24, but if I am to summarize it into 3 main reasons. Firstly, by using the assistant manager chip now in game week 24, I get it out of the way. I don't have to save 1.5 million later down the line when I wildcard to buy a manager, right? Because if I, for example, wildcard in game week 30, I need to bear in mind that firstly, I'm going to use the assistant manager chip later down the line. And secondly, I want to bench boost as well. So I need to make sure that my bench is strong enough. So all that would need a lot of money. So I don't want to be in that spot. And using it now in game week 24 just saves me that headache so that when I wildcard, I can focus all the money on the 15 players that I have, build a stacked bench, and focus my attention on the 15 players. So that's basically budget-wise the constraints that I think I want to kind of remove when I wildcard later down the line. Secondly, it is also the fixture matchups here. So Bournemouth and Everton away are fixtures that I don't think Liverpool are going to score many goals in. But yet at the same time, I still think they will find a way to win. In which case, I think Slot might be a slightly better third Liverpool asset than Cody Gakpo. Now, this is a huge if, and it's also based off of my own predictions of what's going to happen. As compared to later down the line in game week 33, for example, where Liverpool's double is potentially Leicester and Aston Villa. And do I think Liverpool against Leicester and Aston Villa are going to score more goals than now against Bournemouth and Everton? I do think so, and in which case, by then, maybe I could go for Gakpo then, or even Luis Diaz if his minutes looks better in terms of predictions. So, long story short, I think I'm happier to use the assistant manager now on these fixtures as compared to later on in 33. And lastly, it is with the view in mind that double game week 25 is still a possibility. It could happen depending on how fast Spurs progress in the Europa League. They need to be top 8, and also they need to progress to the finals of the EFL Cup. Now, they have a 1-0 lead against Liverpool in the EFL Cup. The second leg will be played sometime soon. And also, the Europa League-wise, they have won their latest match, so there's a high chance that they could be in the top 8 as well, or end in the top 8 after the kind of league phases, in which case double game week 25 is a real possibility, but it would only be fully confirmed after game week 24. There could be a provisional announcement before game week 24, in which case I think many people will start activating the chip, but if not, I think confirmation only comes after 24. If I have my assistant manager chip activated already, I can very simply do slot to someone like Postecoglou or Marco Silva. So with double game week 25 in mind, it keeps me ready for that as well. So 3 main reasons why I've used the assistant manager chip, and it's likely going to be on slot. Now, In terms of how I intend to use the chip, I'm going to have it on slot for 24 and 25. So that's Bournemouth and Everton now in 24. In 25, it will be Wolves at Anfield. And then in 26, I will use a transfer. Definitely, because Liverpool will be playing Man City. So I'm definitely going to use a transfer on slot in 26. But that is going to depend on how many points I have amassed after slot has had Bournemouth, Everton, and Wolves. Now, the reason I say this is because when I use the assistant manager chip, the aim of the number of points I intend to get is around 40 points. So say by the time the 3 games have already been played and I'm at around 30 points already, maybe I don't mind going more risky and going for someone like Kieran McKenna, for example, Ipswich versus Spurs. That could be a table bonus team, a table bonus game that I want to kind of gamble on in game week 26, right? So slot to Kieran McKenna in game week 26 is a potential move if slot has already amassed 30 points from 24 to 25. Say after the Bournemouth, Everton, and Wolves game, he hasn't amassed 30 plus points. Maybe he's at around 20 points. And he's pretty far from, where I want to be in terms of assistant manager points. Then I think I go the safe route, and instead of doing slot to Kieran McKenna, I can do slot to someone like Arteta, because Arteta in game week 26 has West Ham, right, at the Emirates. So overall, I think who I take slot out for in game week 26 is going to largely depend on how many points I've amassed, but also obviously the form of the teams and where they are in terms of league position. Now, by the time you're watching this, probably Liverpool has already played Ipswich, and maybe Ipswich just do another performance where they lose, 6-0 to Liverpool after that thumping to Man City. I don't really know, but you know when you're watching this video. And maybe I don't go for Ipswich against Spurs if they look pretty bad, right? So there's other fixtures in there like Everton versus Manchester United in 26 that I could go for in terms of table bonus. But again, it largely depends on where they're at. But in terms of transfers for assistant manager, I only intend to use one, and that's in game week 26. So next up, focusing on the 15 players or outfielders that I have. In terms of the starting 11, this is where I don't intend to use any transfer. So I have one free transfer now because I've used up my 3 free transfers in game week 23. So one free transfer in 24. Obviously, barring any injuries, I think this is a team that is good enough to roll the transfer. Verbruggen and Flecken are my keepers. I'm probably going to start Verbruggen this week. This week, game week 24, is going to be the only week where it's less than ideal fixtures for both of them. Verbruggen has Forest, Flecken has Spurs. I don't think either keep clean sheets, but I'm going to go with Verbruggen here. But after game week 24, from game week 25 onwards, they rotate really well. So I'm happy enough to just ride through this one fixture with Verbruggen. In defense, it's Hall, Trent with a double, and Gabriel against Man City. Now, Man City may be a tough fixture, but it's at the Emirates, so that's good for Gabriel. He has good set-piece threat as well. If not, on the bench, there's Robinson against Newcastle, and there's Greaves against Southampton. If I could guarantee Greaves minutes, maybe I try to find a way to put him in, but at this point, his minutes aren't secure, and I think it's crazy to bench Gabriel against City when City are leaking goals from all different positions, whether it's set pieces or open play. All right, so that's the defense. In midfield is Rodgers, Mbumo, Salah, and Palmer. Good fixtures for all of them. Double for Salah, of course. And then Mbumo has this Tottenham fixture, which I really think he could do quite well in. It's at the G-Tech. So I really back Brentford for this one, which is also one of the reasons why I brought Vissa and Mbumo in game week 23, because I was trying to target this Tottenham fixture. And then up front, it's Isak, Vissa, and Mateta. Vissa, we spoke about this Tottenham fixture for him. Isak has Fulham, and Mateta is Manchester United away. There's a case to be made whether I try and fit Ahmad in, but I think for now, I'm happy enough to leave him on the bench still and go with this starting 11. So I'm happy to roll this team into the next week, and then 25 is likely going to be a roll again, and then 26 is going to be an assistant manager transfer from slot to either Arteta or a table bonus team, right? So in terms of future planning, that's where I'm looking at, but I want to use the transfer tinkering tool in the next section to explain to you guys leading up to Game Week 29, which is going to be a blank, likely for the 4 teams that I'm going to mention right now, which is Liverpool, Aston Villa, Newcastle, and Crystal Palace. This is off the basis that Newcastle and Liverpool are the teams in the final for the EFL Cup. If that is the case, these 4 teams will blank, and I need to find a plan to transfer these players out or put them on the bench for Game Week 29 so that I at least can field 11 players. So I'm going to work through my plan all the way up till Game Week 29 to show you guys my future plans. So for Game Week 24, this is my team exactly as shown in the graphic. And again, as I've mentioned, the plan is to roll. The 1.6 million in the bank is saved to buy Arne Slot, who cost 1.5 million. Right, so come to Game Week 25, the plan is again to roll, to have 2 free transfers, because you see the team does not really need transfers. Flecken has West Ham, the defense looks pretty good. Hall has Man City, I can start Robinson instead. You also see here there is a potential double. This is the one that I was talking about, where there's Spurs and Forest as a potential double for Fulham, in which case it'd be a no-brainer that I start Robinson ahead of Hall. If not, if it's just Nottingham Forest alone as a single game week fixture, I'm also okay to start Robinson ahead of Hall. And then for the attackers, fixtures are all pretty good. So come to Game Week 26, this is when I would use 2 transfers of the 3 that I would have saved until then to sell Trent for Milos Kerkez. Now this is obviously a plan for a longer term prospect with Kerkez, because firstly, he starts to have a good fixture run from Game Week 26, starting with Wolves, and also he has a fixture in Game Week 29. So he's a player that I can keep for quite a while and fits into the strategy of trying to navigate blank game week with just free transfers, because Trent is likely going to blank in 29. So with that being the case, Kerkez comes in. Rodgers also leaves the team now because he starts to go on a slightly trickier run of fixtures, starting with Chelsea at home. So Rodgers leaves the team for Kluivert, who is a player I've been really eyeing up, and this is the time I bring him in. Game Week 26, similar thinking to Kerkez with the fixtures and also him playing a game in 29. Right, so I've kind of essentially removed Trent and Rodgers, who don't play in 29, for players who play in 29 in Kerkez and Kluivert. So with this made, I'm going to lock in these transfers now. And then you see in Game Week 27, I can very well roll again. Hall has Liverpool. This is the week Robinson will have Wolves. Kluivert has Brighton. I can start Ahmad instead, who has Ipswich. The rest of the fixtures are pretty good. So 28, the plan is also to roll. Come to Game Week 29, this is where there's likely going to be a blank. Now, as you guys can see here, the shaded fixture is where they're predicted to blank. So teams like Newcastle that we spoke about just now, Liverpool, Aston Villa in Morgan Rodgers that I've already transferred out by then, and also Crystal Palace are likely to blank. So in this game week, I have to make 2 transfers again, which by then I would have saved up about 5 transfers and used only 2 in Game Week 26 that we saw. So come Game Week 29, I would have 3 free transfers. The plan is to do, and this might sound crazy at this point, but it's actually to sell Mohamed Salah, who probably won't have a fixture then. Bring in Bruno Fernandes, because this is the week that Manchester United have Leicester. So I go with Bruno Fernandes here, and then sell Mateta, who blanks, for Erling Haaland. Now, this is obviously going to hinge on a lot of things of how Man City look moving forward, but this may just be a 1-week punt, because come Game Week 30, I will be wild carding. So a 1-week punt, selling Salah for Haaland, is quite exciting for this prospect. So for now, this is the plan. I'm going to make these transfers, and if I set up the team properly, I would have Ahmad in the starting 11. I would have Robinson as well, who would come in for Hall. Robinson would have a fixture here, because if Liverpool and Newcastle is the matchup in the EFL Cup final, it basically means that Robinson will have a fixture here. They will play Spurs this week. And then, if you see, I will have 11 starting players. Flecken, Kerkez, Gabriel, Robinson, Ahmad, Mbumo, Kluivert, Palmer, and Fernandes, Vissa, and Haaland. I can even go so far as to maybe captain Haaland as a bit of a differential in Game Week 29. So the plan now is as such. So if I go all the way back to Game Week 24 now, as you guys can see, transfers are going to be very, very scarce in that I have to plan properly, and this is roughly the idea that I have. It mainly centers around transferring out players who don't have a fixture in 29 for players who do, and then obviously along the way trying to catch the different fixture swings for teams such as Bournemouth, etc. So this is the rough plan that I have, and obviously in terms of the assistant manager itself, one transfer for me needs to be saved for that, because I want to do slot to either of Arteta or a table bonus team in 26, as I mentioned just now. So if you count it, 24 I'll have one free transfer, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. That's 6 transfers. I have one that I need to use on Arne's slot, so that leaves me with 5. And then I have 4 moves planned already. So that leaves me with 1 remaining in case I need to deal with injuries. So it's going to be tight, but at least there's 1 spare that I can work with. If not, this is the rough plan. Firstly, in terms of my assistant manager chip and the transfers I intend to use there, but also in terms of my 15 players and where my team is likely to head towards until Game Week 29, where I didn't, and wildcard in Game Week 30. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys in your own planning for your teams as well. Drop in the comments down below, firstly, how you got on for Game Week 23 as of recording or as you're watching this, and also your own dilemmas for Game Week 24. And if you are using the assistant manager chip like me, what is your plan for it? I'd be keen to know. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do drop a like. Please do subscribe. You can get ready for more assistant manager talk on this channel. That would be largely what we're talking about, because I'm activating the chip in 24. So if you're interested in that, please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.